He has not told us of his efforts or intentions to make Selma safe again. Other cities have imposed gang injunctions, and that has worked for them. Why not us? In my opinion, Chief Garner has been keeping this from the citizens of Selma while he advocates for a new police facility. I do not deny the fact that we are in need of a new police station. The state recently awarded our city a $4 million grant to acquire that facility. Yet, he advocates $5 million by Measure P bond to be voted by our citizens to finish funding his $9 million endeavor. We could use the $4 million the city to build an adequate facility with room for expansions later. Build in phases, and this would be fiscally responsible. The Selma Police Officers Association is in support of the building using the current monies provided by the state of California. They oppose Measure P and do not support any new tax bond for this building. In 2007, the citizens of Selma passed Measure S, which was a half-cent sales tax to fund public safety with no sunset clause. After the passing of this tax measure, we hit a recession which lasted the next 6 to 7 years. Citizens have requested numerous times to see where the monies were spent to no avail. They received generic information with no accountability for the monies received or spent. There was an expenditure plan put into place for those monies. However, that could be behind or an additional 6 or 7 years due to the recession. It has been brought to my attention that Chief Garner has approached council for more officers during each fiscal year. However, it has been denied by council. He has stated that it is not fair to take monies from other departments' budgets they need for funding themselves. Measure S was to fund a joint police and fire facility. What are the citizens of Selma going to do when the fire department needs their facility? Are we as citizens going to need to vote for another bond or tax measure? Chief Garner does not have a vested interest in our community. He does not live here, he works here. He goes home as we hear gunshots almost on a nightly basis. He has a pension coming from the city of Fresno while he works on his second retirement with the city of Selma and will be fully vested at his 5-year mark. If Proposition P passes, he will get a $9 million wish for a state-of-the-art police facility balanced on the backs of the citizens of Selma. He will then retire and add to his resume that he was a police chief and brought a new police facility to our city of Selma. I ask that Chief Garner please step up to the plate and do what the city of Selma has entrusted you to do. Lead with your direction, find solutions, protect our city to make us feel safe again. If you cannot do this, I ask that you please resign, or City Council needs to find a replacement and remove you from your position. As I was preparing this speech last night, our officers were dispatched to the area of Deast and Stillman Streets for shots fired. They arrived to this location and located shell casings in the roadway. God bless the men and women of the Selma Police Department who give of themselves selflessly to protect the citizens of this great city. You are honored, appreciated, and prayed for daily for all that you do. It is time for us to band together and make Selma great again. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, council members, Mayor. Paula Rogers, City of Selma. I was born and raised in the city of Selma, and I've lived here for all of my life. This last Friday was a very sad day for us. There have been many sad days occurring more frequently, and very sadly this last Friday when I heard that the gunshots erupted outside the Selma High football game and children were crying, running for safety, and it was all over the news. I was saddened and I was very ashamed that this was happening in our city. We have never had this kind of violence in our city. I'm going to piggyback the gentleman that just came up. I also advocate for gang injunctions. I did ask Chief Garner Saturday after the press conference if we were doing anything to collaborate with some of the other cities that have enforced gang injunctions, and statistics are showing that they work. I have relatives that live in Southern California where there has been gang injunctions. I'm familiar with them. They are effective. We have cities in our local area, Reedley, Arosi, other cities in the county of Tulare, where they have enforced gang injunctions as a way to stop the public nuisance of gang members who terrorize the community. Chief Garner said that unless someone comes forward and identifies a victim or identifies a shooter, there's not a whole lot they can do about it. Witnesses have to come forward. I understand that, but you have to understand that witnesses are terrified because they don't want retaliation among the coming back on their families or the community. I pray daily for this community and the leadership, but we need your help. We want to help you, but you have to do something. I don't understand why we don't have any gang injunctions here in Selma. Can somebody please help me understand that? I mean, do you go to sleep at nighttime and leave your windows open? We should be able to have our windows open to get the fresh air. We should be able to have our doors unlocked. All of that is being taken from us. I refuse to let bully gang members take our safety away from us. It's time that we stand up and we do something. It's not that hard to get a gang injunction. It means that it gives you the power to set standards when gang members can be out, where they can go, how many of them can be together. If we stop them, they will leave. Statistics are showing that they're leaving everywhere where gang injunctions are put into place. Why aren't we doing this? Or please tell me that I'm wrong and tell me that we are doing something, because something has to be done. And I'm sorry if I'm passionate about this, but this is really difficult to see our city becoming a place that no one feels safe, that we worry and we fear for our kids, for our children, for our future generations. It shouldn't be that way.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Paul.
Good evening. First, Mr. Rodriguez, I'd like to thank you for your kind words for my Uncle Rocky.
So sorry for your loss.
Thank you. And I just got a message that the services are this Friday evening from 6 to 8 at New Hope Church, and on Saturday morning at 8:30 at the same location. Thank you. And I'm here for my Uncle Rocky. I could be with my family, but this is where he would want me to be. So if you bear with me, I'd appreciate it very much. Okay. This is directly to you, Chief Gordon, okay? As a citizen and parent of this community, I am trying to understand why so much crime going on in our city, with so much crime going on in our city, why do you continue to focus and hold news conferences about Measure P, but not the safety of our city and our citizens or our officers? Let's go back to last week. Isn't it true that last week during your news conference here to promote Measure P, a juvenile walked into the police department lobby, asked to speak to someone, and when the only personnel other than dispatch, which happened to be a sergeant, mind you, because you ordered other personnel to be at the press conference, he came out to talk to the juvenile, and a physical altercation occurred. And also mind you that this sergeant had his weapon on him at the time. With dispatch being the only one in the police department, she immediately radioed for backup to come frantically. Excuse me. In an instant, we could have had the same incident that happened at the Fresno County Jail where 2 officers were severely shot, and thank God nothing happened like that. Immediately after this occurred, without even checking, from what I understand, on dispatch or how she was doing, as she was apparently shaken up, you brought news cameras into the PD to once again show the building. Where was your urgency to comfort the staff that had just went through a horrific incident? You stated in a new conference Saturday that I'm going to quote you exactly what you said on your news conference. Okay? You said, I'm sorry. We experienced at least a 7 or 8 week period where we didn't receive one call of a weapon being fired in the city, which is remarkable, especially given the fact that those months are July and August, some of the busiest months traditionally for law enforcement anywhere. Okay? From June 18 to July 2nd, we had 6 shootings were reported, with 2 victims actually being shot, which were gang victims. From August 17th to date, 16 shootings, the latest being last night. From July 1st to September 1st, 40 calls of shots fired. Why haven't we had any news conferences about the crime that we are experiencing in our city? Now, correct me if I'm wrong, you did state, and you have stated, that all shootings are not considered the same as shots fired calls, which is ridiculous to me. To me, shots fired are even more dangerous because that's where innocent bystanders get hit. Let's just call it what it is. They are shootings in our city. The night of the shooting at the high school, while the incident was being tended to, off-duty officers were brought in to cover the city, and during that time, one call of a robbery of a man's wallet where the suspect used a gun to take it by force, and there were 2 other calls of shots fired in the area of D Street in Stillman, where my sister resides. I don't understand your plan of all of a sudden to put a task force together by pulling an officer from every shift, which of course is going to leave us short-handed again, to put on this task force. Where was this task force last year in 2015, like Officer Barcelo said, when a kid was shot and an older gentleman was shot down the street from my home? Why has it taken so long, or is this the time because of Measure S? We are finally fed up and we need to take our streets back, and we are asking the council to help us. You have a $4 million bond or grant already. I don't understand why you just can't be happy with that and build away. Do not come to us citizens asking for a $5 million bond to fund a $9 million building. Ask us for $5 million to get more officers on the street. Priority should be our officers, not offices. God knows Measure S, excuse me, but it's a mess. We don't understand it. We don't have reports. We request for reports. Mr. Franco hasn't had or given anybody the time to give us any reports. That should have been used for officers. Yes, I understand we had a downfall, but for the Measure S committee to make a revision and pull our money to cover the general fund is wrong. We voted for that Measure S to be put in place. We should have been voted to see if we wanted that revision done, but it was not. So I hold Mr. Franco accountable for that. Priority should be our officers. So with that said, council, we have a $1.4 million surplus account. We are asking you for help. We are asking you to use that for officers.